Hey there folks, today we're taking a look at the Berkey and we're talking pros and cons. Now I have a Berkey and I know a few people who do, and this is one that is having some problems. And so I asked, hey, can I come and film this and just go through the steps? And so that's what we're going to be doing today, because this is something I've helped people do a few times. The pros to the Berkey system are, of course, you can dump pretty much any water into the hopper at the top and filter it through and get some drinkable water out of it. The cons are that there's actually some design flaws with the Berkey that lead to a lot of problems that are never discussed. I'm not finding any videos about this. I've been to Berkey's website. Berkey has some videos in their troubleshooting section talking about putting it together. That's not the problem. The problem is with standing water inside the unit. The hopper, if you will, for lack of a better description, is the part on the top that you dump the water in. The hopper will always have standing water in it because the way that this is designed, the filters are not actually the lowest point inside this unit. The filters are not the lowest point, so there's always like anywhere from a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of standing water at the bottom of this. Even the first time you use it, there's going to be standing water up here. Now, the water touching the base of the filters, especially if you're pouring any kind of contaminated water in here, I mean, most of the time people are probably going to be using tap water, but if you went and got it out of the creek, whatever, and you're pouring water in here, that contaminated standing water is touching the base of your filters. And bacteria gets into the filter because the filter is like a sponge and slowly starts creeping its way up the filter. And so less and less of the filter area is available for filtration as time wears on. Now, the more contaminated the type of water you're working with, the faster this will happen. Sometimes you don't notice it, it takes a few months, and that's the case with this one. And we'll go ahead and take a look down in here. And you can see how much standing water is in here. The filter, I'm trying to show you, this is about 1/3 of the unit now, and I don't know how well you can tell, and we are going to take this apart and maintenance this. There's like a slime around the base of that filter. This water's been standing in here for a few days. It will not filter through because bacteria has infected the filters, because as I explained, there's always standing water. The filters should be the absolute lowest point inside the hopper, and they are not. Furthermore, taking this apart is going to be a bit of a problem. It looks simple enough, and indeed it is simple, but you have to be very careful with it because, and this is something, again, I've not seen anyone talk about, and maybe it's just because I have some experience in manufacturing. The plastic parts of this, the knob, the spigot, and the nuts, the housing, if you will, for the base of the filters is like some of the cheapest grade plastic in the industry. So you're going to open this up and unscrew these filters and remove them. You could break those. You also could damage these filters. They're actually kind of delicate. So just pulling it apart at your own risk. You've got to be careful doing this. This isn't something to play around with. But we're going to go ahead and take these filters out, and I'm going to show you how to clean them off so that you can start filtering the water properly again if you're having this problem, which basically everyone I know who owns one of these has had this problem, and it's something that really is not addressed by Berkey. I guess it's just supposed to be peachy and hunky-dory. But as you know, if you've watched my channel often enough, I don't have any endorsements. No one's paying me to talk, so I have no reason to mislead you. Let's go ahead and start taking those filters out. All right, so we're over at the sink area, and you see I'm in here touching the filters, and that's to keep them from just leaning too much. I'm going to dump all this water out, and I'm just holding on to the filters very carefully because I don't want them to be hanging in there, because I don't want them to crack. And I'm going to unscrew these. I'm going to unscrew these two bits right here, And again, like I said, be careful because this plastic is really, really cheap. I'll unscrew these and draw these filters out, and then we'll just go ahead and clean them off. So I'm holding on to the two filters inside and unscrewing it. You can hear the filter tapping the inside there. I'm trying to be careful not to let it touch too much as I take these off. Some of that banging, of course, could be just tapping the edge of the sink there, because all this is a stainless steel container. Remember, just because it's stainless steel doesn't mean it can't be contaminated. And you see that glossiness, that slime that's on there? That's what's clogging the filter. Now this basin is going to need to be cleaned out. I see that rubber portion came off. You see the this rubber one came off, this one did not. But take a look at how deep that goes. You got this part resting on top of the stainless steel, and then this gap, and then this portion, which is not filter. It's a housing that the filter is clamped into. Look how deep that is. That's always standing water inside your Berkey. Right there. That's how deep it is. I can barely get that off. It's so slimy. Look at that. It's like mucus. If you're going to set these down, set them down standing up like that, not laying down. I'm going to run some water over this and take a fresh sponge, kind of a scouring pad. I'm not going to put any chemicals in it at all. Trying to keep the chemicals out of the Berkey, right? And we're just going to scrub that off. I'm going to scrub that like mucus substance off of there. I've seen mildew in these things too. There's no mildew in this one, fortunately, but I have seen mildew in these. It's pretty ridiculous for the amount of money that you spend for these systems that maintenance isn't even talked about. And I am trying to be careful here, I really am. These filters are very expensive to replace. But fortunately, once you have that slime off, it should start working a lot better. Not only is it a problem to have the standing water in the top just simply clogging the filter, but there's a risk of cross-contamination into the bottom part, the part that you actually draw water out of, which also has some design flaws that I'm going to show you here in a minute. And I appreciate being able to show this to you here today. I don't think my friend wants to be named, but he didn't have to let me do this demonstration either, so I appreciate it. Another thing you could do afterwards is repurge the filters like you did the first time to try to help to clear it out some more. And you can do that by running water through the opposite end. The faucet here is no good for that, so I'm using something else, but you get the idea. Of course, you're going to want to wash this out because it's still contaminated in there. That piece doesn't want to come off. Here we go. The ring is very slimy. You're going to want to wash this unit out. Remove the plugs. These are very slimy. and just clean it. Just generally clean it out, let it dry. And while you're at it, you may as well clean the bottom portion as well, because as I've already pointed out, there's problems with that. And I'll show you what that is right now. Just like with the filter not being the lowest point, the spigot is not the lowest point on your Berkey. And so there's always standing water in there. And although this water should be clean, you know, and you could try to tip the Berkey forward, a lot of people do that to get the last bit of that water out. You'll never actually get it all out because it's about 1/2 of an inch at least to the spigot. It might be a little more closer to an inch before the spigot makes contact with the water in there. So there's always standing water in here. And you can cross-contaminate it from the upper unit. Also, a lot of people, because they have vacuum seal problems, they'll put something right here. I've seen a couple of videos that put a piece of fabric or something so that there's an airspace here. And if you do that, then you're contaminating the unit anyways, because free-flowing air could bring something in here, bring in particles. Something starts growing in here, you'll never know it. You'll just be drinking it. So Berkey, if you're watching, that's some food for thought. You need to have your spigot at the lowest point. You need to have your filters at the lowest point inside the unit. And another nice touch would be if you had a clear marking gauge on the side of this, on the bottom part, so you know if it's full or not without having to open it up. I know that's a complaint that a lot of people have had. I never know if the damn thing is full or not. I never know how much water to pour in. It can get confusing sometimes if you're not paying attention. A rule of thumb for me is pour whatever amount of water you're going to use in before you take it out of the bottom, but you can still make a mistake. If it had like a little window on the side here so that you could look and see the water level, or some other type of gauge, it wouldn't cost much to do that, guys. It would make things a lot easier for everybody. But those are the design flaws with the Berkey that are never discussed. Filtration, it does a great job on filtration. You're going to get clean water out of this, it's going to last a long time. But you do need to do regular maintenance on your Berkey. You can't just dump water in here and forget it, which is what I think most people do or believe should be done. It takes a lot more than that, especially if you're using water that's from the outside, water that might be from a creek, a river, rainwater even, something like that. So I hope you found this helpful. Please do give the video a thumbs up. Maybe this will help you with some problems you've been having with your Berkey system. Share it if you can, because I don't think this is really being covered by anybody. Nobody's really talking about maintenance problems or design flaws with the Berkey system. It's just, oh, it's so perfect. Here, let me put some dirty water in it. Check out some of the other videos if you haven't. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit the bell icon. Maybe ScrewTube will let you know when I put a video out, maybe not. They're pretty bad about that, actually. I've been getting a lot of complaints from viewers that they get unsubscribed or they don't get alerts. If you wanted to help the channel out, there are links for that down below. Every little bit helps and I sure do appreciate it. And what more can I say but stay frosty, folks, and thanks for watching.